Vitya Diaries Chapter 20, Kismet, N. Why, Mom is really excited to see you. Me. And what about you? Smile. N. Why, well sure. Me, too. N. Why? But Mom keeps talking about it. I guess she read your interview. N. Why? You're real cute with your dog. How was I going to survive seeing Nico in person when even a little text like that got me all excited? Every day that brought him closer left me more and more an anxious wreck, and Mokyuchin worked overtime to keep me in check. Yogi did his best, too, giving me pep talks and text reminders of everything he'd taught me over the past few weeks. Which, honestly, wasn't much. I think in the end he just really wanted someone to show him around St. Petersburg. Or maybe he just wanted a friend. And don't forget that when this is over, and you have yourself a girlfriend. If I have a girlfriend. That still sounded so wrong. When, Viktor? When you have a girlfriend, Yogi said, patting my back after Thursday practice. You get to help find one for me. But I thought you didn't need help, Yogi. I don't. But all those ballerinas you go to school with, he winked. On Friday, I sent Nico a message wishing him a safe flight and took Mokyuchin out for a good run. We needed to be our best for the long day ahead, which meant burning all the excess energy bright and early. Then it was a bath for Mokyuchin, a shower for me, and lots of hair drying, curling, styling, towels, product, plus just a bit of war paint to finish it off. For me, that is. Mokyuchin only got fluffed up and brushed. Once we were both thoroughly pretty with Mokyu in his vest, me in caprice, boots, and an untucked button-up, we left for therapy training. It'd take us closer to downtown with just a couple of hours to kill until Nico and Tetya Olia were ready for dinner. I had my backpack with Mokyuchin's supplies and some of my own things, though, so it wasn't like I would be bored. There were always things to do in St. Petersburg. Mokyuchin led the way to the bus station, familiar with the route that we'd taken nearly every weekday for the past several weeks, with an eager little bounce in his step. But he never tugged on the leash. I was pretty sure the dogs were supposed to misbehave at least a little more than he did, but I wasn't going to complain. When we got to the stretch where the urban sprawl became concrete canyons of apartments stacked on shops, Mokyuchin kept himself close. The sky, a bright cornflower blue through the cotton clouds, made the wide sidewalks, and the alleyways, and all the fake little parks between buildings look cheerful. Nothing like they'd been the night I was attacked. Even though I hadn't seen those guys since, and I always walked on the other side of the street, kept my head down, moved quickly, I always felt that urge to run as soon as I realized where I was. Every time. Most days. It was fleeting. Just a scant thought that came in and out of mind, enough to get me going faster, turn up the volume on my Discman, make Mokyuchin upset. Other days, I did run. Mokyuchin stopped to squat right across from the same convenience store where it started, making a statement by marking his territory. I gave him privacy, staring past the traffic to the antique shop that had always been closed and dark. The owner's business card was still in my wallet, but I'd never tried to call him. I'd never been back to that door. Today the door was open, because someone was coming out of the shop, and reaching back to turn the light off. He was a heavy-set man that looked like he could have been Coach's older cousin. Once the shop was dark, he locked the door. The owner of the antique shop. Of all days, him being there had to be a sign. Fate. Destiny. Kismet. It was meant to be. I had to act, and I had to do it now. Face my fears and make things happen. Hey, I yelled, but the man didn't seem to hear me. Hey, sir. I tried again, louder. Still nothing. I tugged on Mokyuchin's leash, and he looked up from the patch of dandelions that he'd been sniffing. Mokyuchin, we need to get to that shop, I said. If I was quick, I could make it across the street before he left. Mokyuchin started toward the crosswalk. But there wasn't enough time for that. Besides, the street was empty this time of morning. If I was fast, it'd be fine. I scooped him up into my arms, holding him tight, and sprinted across the street. Halfway across the center divider, I started yelling again. Hey, wait up. The man stopped on the way to his parked car to watch me, and frowned as I ran to him, Mokyuchin's ears bouncing when we finally got to the sidewalk. Thank you. I can't believe I caught you, I gasped, setting Mokyuchin down. He shook out all four of his paws before sitting down smartly at my feet. He didn't mind being carried, but it wasn't the most dignified for a young poodle. He sniffed, The man wasn't impressed. Just what did you think you were doing? Running across the street? You could have been killed, young man. I guess. But there weren't any cars, and I couldn't let you get away. Your shop is always closed. I nodded to the dark window. That is your shop, duh? Yes. But that's no reason to run across traffic. And your poor dog. We both turned to Mokyu-chin, who looked away, indignant. Sorry, Mokyu. Bending down, I ruffled his ears in apology. Then put on my sweetest face for the man, hoping to butter him up. It's just destiny that brought me here. Do you still have the owl and the cat? There. He studied my face like he was waiting for it to register, but it never did. What are you talking about? In your shop. A few weeks ago, there were two figures, an owl and a cat, dancing together. I hopped from the car to the window, waving for him to follow, and peeked inside. There they were, just like I remembered, paw and wing folded to let them embrace. There they are. They're still here. Please, please let me buy them. He pulled away from his car, and peered behind me. Oh, the salt and pepper shakers? I gasped. Salt and pepper shakers? That's what I said. A whine escaped me. Please, please. I have two of them. I have the money right here. You don't even know how much they are, boy. I tore myself from the window to face him, bleeding, heartbreaking. I guess not. But why do you want them so badly? They're soulmates. They belong together. And that means that you, someone who runs across traffic with his dog in his arms, must have them? He wasn't convinced, and he really wasn't impressed. Maybe he had a point. I bit my lip, and Mokyu-chin thumped my ankle with his tail, reminding me that he was there. It helped. Yes, that was stupid, but I want to make sure they're kept together. That's really important to me, the thought of them being torn apart somehow. I can't stand it. I pulled my backpack around to dig for my wallet. If I can't afford them today, maybe I can give you a down payment. What's your name? Viktor. Viktor Nikiforov. He studied me a moment, then took his keys from his pocket and started back for the door of his shop. Ah, the figure skater. Come in, then. Let's take a look at these soulmates of yours. They hadn't been that expensive after all. I could have bought them, but the shop owner gave them to me as a gift, on the condition that I promised not to run across the street anymore. I promised, and he wrapped them both for me in paper, then packed them in a little box so I could take them with me on the train. Take good care of them, he said. They came to me from an old widow's estate sale. She felt much the same as you do, young man. I will. I promise. I'll let them dance and get married and all of that, all they like. Good. He smiled. And good luck in the next season. Thank you. We were a little late to Mokyu-chin's class, but no one said anything. He did well, following all of the requested commands, demonstrating the behaviors that they wanted, and waiting patiently while I sat through the group lecture. That was probably the worst part. By the end of it, though, Mokyu-chin had his treats and I had lots of luck wished upon me by the group for the dinner date with my sponsor. Don't worry, Vitya. It'll go just fine. Tetya Olia must adore you. We all do. They had no idea that it wasn't her that I was worried about, but at least Mokyu-chin looked extra cute with the bow tie they gave him for the occasion. Mokyu-chin and I spent the rest of our time downtown, trying to A. find gifts, B. not freak out. We succeeded at neither and ended up at the hotel early and empty-handed. At least that let me use the free restrooms to freshen up. I still looked cute, but was I cute enough? I couldn't stop shaking. Was it going to be okay? Could I eat a fancy dinner with fancy people without Coach there to help me? Sure, I had Mokyu-chin, but he didn't know what to say or do or who any of the important people were. I there. This was a mistake, I moaned. At my feet, Mokyu-chin smiled at me, chest puffed out to show off his bow tie. It helped. After I finished primping as much as I could stand, I checked my phone and the messages that waited for me. Yorjip, good luck. You can do this. Yorjip, tell me everything the second you can. Yorjip, put all the moves on her. Yorjip, I'm counting on you. Yorjip, we're all counting on you. God, that was right. His whole family would be waiting to hear the news on Vitya's first date. But what would they do if they found out? Really found out? No, I couldn't worry about that. Not now. I moved on to the message from Nico. Why, we're heading down to the lobby soon. Are you almost here? The timestamp read 2 minutes earlier. I held my breath as I read and reread it, over and over again. It was now or never. Time to face the boy and his mother. My crush and my sponsor. Nico and Tetya Olia. Me, I'll be waiting. Smile. With one last check of my war paint, I went out to wait in the lobby. Vitya Olia saw me before I saw her, and pulled me into an embrace once I was on my feet. It's so good to see you again. Look at how tall you've gotten. Kodiasha. Isn't he getting tall? She showed me off to her son, bracelets clinking together when she took hold of my shoulders. Yeah, I guess. I flushed under his attention, relief as it was. Well, you know. I bit my lip. Getting older. Olia laughed and hugged me again, then turned her attention to Mokyuchin. And this must be your Mokyuchin, yes? That's right. He's so handsome with that little bow tie. How old is he? Almost 9 months. You must be so proud. I couldn't help it. I was so very proud of my Mokyuchin. He'll shake your hand if you ask him to. Even though she was in high heels and a pencil skirt, Olia bent down and gave him a firm handshake when he offered his paw. Good boy, she said, and patted his head. Mokyuchin wagged his tail so hard. We both love Olia. Do you want to shake his paw? I asked, turning to Nico. He was taller than I remembered. Broader, too, just a little, filling out and fit to be oh so handsome. It had been so long since I'd seen him. Maybe it was good that he wasn't smiling. I'd probably die on the spot if he had. Go on, Olia said, ribbing him. Be a good sport, Kodiasha. How do I do this? Nico asked, frowning. I smiled, trying to be encouraging. Just hold out your hand and ask him to shake. He crouched, because he was too tall to just bend down, and held out his hand. Shake. Mokyuchin did as he was told, putting his paw in Nico's hand without hesitation. He was the best dog. Good boy, Mokyuchin. I got down next to Nico, and pet my pup with no ulterior motive like trying to catch Nico's scent or lean on him or anything like that. And it was all completely wonderful for about 30 glorious seconds. Like New Year's had been. Oh, if only we could have stayed like that. My shoulder to his. Our heads so close together, legs nearly touching. Olia had other ideas. Okay, you two. I promised dinner, and I'm starving. We took a cab to a restaurant that I'd never even heard of before, and Olia took care of the bill. I'd never seen food so expensive before, but she assured me that she was happy to treat. She and Nico were on business, after all, and I was their guest. Speaking of, Vitya, we'll be hosting a gala next month, and I'd love it if you and Coach Feltzman could join us. What? In Moscow? Nico gave me a look of please save me, then smiled around his glass. Subtle and sarcastic. So cute. Yes, in Moscow, his mother continued. Don't worry, we'll take care of your airfare. And you two can stay with us if you like. There's plenty of room. Wouldn't you agree, Kodiasha? Yeah, I guess so. I'd have to ask Coach. Oh, you'll love it. We'll spoil you the whole time you're there. And the gala is formal, so you'll need to bring your best suit. She stopped herself. Why, Vitya dear, why the worried face? I was trying to keep my anxious hand wringing under the table, where I could pet Mokyuchin and no one would be able to see, but the color had drained from my face, too. I tried to laugh. I just haven't had a chance to go shopping since I started getting tall. None of my formal wear fits anymore. Not to mention that I couldn't afford any of it. I'd always improvised or borrowed from Vaganova, but for something like this. Oh, is that all? Vitya, don't worry about it. Nico can take you shopping tomorrow. What? Nico looked as surprised as I was at being volunteered, but I couldn't tell if he was pleased or not. Yes, of course. He'll take my card and find you a new suit. I am your sponsor after all. I can't have you worrying about things like that when you need to be focused on your skating. I wanted to cry. I almost did, right there in the fancy restaurant. You mean it? Of course. Nico laughed under his breath and suggested we get dessert. Even I couldn't say no to that this time. Olia insisted on taking me home that night, even though it was way out of the way and would cost so much money. She wanted to make sure that Mokyuchin and I got home safely, and to meet my aunt and uncle, if only briefly. They thanked her, and she hugged me again before getting into the cab to go back to the hotel. Nico said he'd text and we could arrange a time to meet up for shopping, and then they were gone. I took care of Mokyuchin, hugged my relatives, then went up to my room to fall into bed and give Yorgi an update. I'm back at my house now. You can stop freaking out. He called immediately. So how did it go? I struggled to come up with a way to adequately describe my feelings. I'm definitely in trouble. It's love. It has to be. I sighed. The air pulled from my lungs like a sweet summer breeze, and rolled onto my side. I don't know. It's not like we even did much today. We barely spoke. Details, Victor. Details. I told what I could, about dinner, the shopping we did do, mostly souvenir shopping for Nico's mama, and what the plans for tomorrow were, but left out the part about the invitation to Moscow. That'd be too easy for Yogi to trace. I mostly spoke to H. I caught myself, mama all evening, but every time our eyes met across the table, it was like New Year's all over again. Sparks flying, heart pounding, all of that aching desire. Not quite like that. It was hard to place. Exactly. Nico was different. Sure, I wanted to kiss him, and I'd had fantasies about him taking me into his arms and whisking me away on a giant, winged stallion. But that wasn't quite the same thing. At least, I didn't think it was. Yogi, have you ever wanted to go on an adventure with someone? He made a confused grunting sound. You know, you and a partner, traversing the terrain, searching for something or someone, fighting monsters, watching the sweat glisten on their muscles as they take down a mountain troll. Victor, what have you been reading? Nothing. I'm just saying that's more what it's like. You want to go on a journey with her? Maybe. He burst out laughing. You're going to really have to start bulking up if you want to be Ivan. Victor, you're not helping. Go forth, Victor. Rescue your damsel in distress. Tomorrow could be the start of your forever. Right. I'll do my best. The start of my forever. I thought back to the wishing star and how it had led me to that banquet, the one that had let me meet Nico. I'd always had to fight and claw for everything I wanted, so I couldn't expect winning someone over to be easy. The hearts of men were so fickle. I had to be brave and I had to work hard. That was life and that was love. I set the owl and cat on my nightstand, and they fit together with such ease that their dancing form looked natural. I envied them. They were old, ceramic paint cracked in some places, but still so beautiful and perfect, truly meant for each other. Once I was ready for bed and Mokuchin was cozy in my comforter with me, I sent a text to remind Nico to touch base, and nestled in. The day and all its anxieties had left me so exhausted. While I waited for a reply from Nico, I gazed at the salt and pepper lovers, imagining them dancing in the light from my window to keep myself awake. And hand in hand, on the edge of the sand, they danced by the light of the moon.